I've heard from a number of viewers and listeners recently who have reached out to me to tell me how devastated they are, how broken they honestly feel following the election. And a number of them have talked about the fact that they feel lost. They talk about the fact that they prayed going into the election, and now that the election has been lost, they've lost confidence in their government, they've lost confidence in the system, they've lost confidence in their fellow human, and to be perfectly honest, a number of them have talked about the fact that they've lost some of their faith in God. Their faith is shaken. So let me talk about that and give you some of where I stand, what's worked for me, and hopefully just my talking about this may help you find some direction for yourself in all of this. Going into this election, I too prayed for wisdom to prevail in our land, but also I felt confident that I really did feel confident that the stark difference between the candidates' basic decency would ultimately prevail, and eventually people would make the right moral choice. Obviously, I overestimated their ability or willingness to see the better choice in the election. Now, we have in previous elections had candidates run for president who I did not think were as good as the other candidate. I think we all have. But this election, I think we can agree, felt different. And as you know, I dedicated much of my time, much of my energy online recently in efforts of trying to get people to awaken to the reality of who Donald Trump really is. Because I'm concerned. I was concerned and still am by his beliefs, his behaviors, his intentions, if elected, which now he has been. I don't think he was kidding when he said he would like to be a dictator. So I tried with every ounce of persuasion that I could muster to sway someone, anyone. I kept thinking to myself, if I even make a difference in terms of 2 votes, 3 votes, all of this will be worth it. But I'll tell you, I am mostly concerned not by Trump himself. I am mostly concerned and disturbed by the willingness of other members of his party, members of state and local governments, and particularly members of the Supreme Court to allow him to do whatever he wants without the basic checks and balances intended and spelled out in our Constitution. I'm afraid that we have elected a man who wants his power to go unchecked, and that there are too few people willing to go against that desire. I, however, don't blame God. What I really wanted as this election progressed was for people to have the real Donald Trump revealed. If they could only see him for who he is, I thought, they will make the right choice. Well, to be perfectly honest, Trump didn't hide his true nature at any point during this election. We saw it again and again. He talks about using the military to round up and deal with his political enemies. Almost 20 members of his first administration have clearly said that this man should never be president again. And people still supported him, knowing all of that. In my opinion, what we have is not a failure by God. All we could have asked of God in this election is to let Trump's true nature be revealed. And to be honest, I think it was. We don't have a God problem in this election. We have a lot of people who are willing to absolutely disregard the words of the very Savior they claim to follow when they go into the ballot box. The disturbing reality is that I think a lot of people voted for Trump not in spite of his nature, but because of it. Now, enough negative. Let's get to some positive stuff. Jesus Christ was arrested and crucified, and the disciples went on. They were uncertain for a brief period of time. They hid behind locked doors, sad, terrified, depressed, but ultimately they emerged and they continued to believe. And one could argue that they ventured forth from that moment forward with even more faith and conviction than they'd ever had before. They didn't quit. Also, I refuse to let Trump win. Oh, he won the election. But he did not vanquish truth, morality, nor what is right, unless those of us who believe in those things quit. Finally, and most importantly, Let me say this, because this is what I keep telling myself today and every day as I get up. I will not despair. I will not quit. If I let his victory in the election rob me of my joy in life and of my optimistic hope for a better future, then I have let him win far more than the election. I believe in truth. I believe in kindness. I believe in generosity and equality. I believe in freedom of choice. I believe in the dignity of every human being. I believed in those things several days ago before the election, and I believe in them more now than I ever had before. I emerged from this after I wallowed in my sorrow for a while. I emerged with a clear understanding. I still believe in those things. As I said, maybe more than I ever had. Trump didn't win anything more than 4 years of holding an office unless we let him have the victories over the things that are truly important. Now, here's what I will say. I pledge to you that I will not quit, that I will continue to speak out for justice and what is right. And I hope you will join me. God needs you and your voice in the world now more than ever. So let's get out there, speak up, be active, and work to bring about the world that God desires and that we all so desperately need. And that's all for today. Peace and blessings to you, my friend. Let's get out there. The world needs us.